With John Cena only having 7 appearances left, you gotta start questioning who will his last opponent be. And today I composed a couple of names that I think is least likely, kind of possible, and very possible. So without further ado, let's get to it. Before we talk about who his last match could be against, let's talk about where his last 7 appearances will be taking place. So appearance number 7 will be taking place next week and next Monday Night Raw. Then it's at WrestlePalooza where he's fighting Brock Lesnar. That's 6. His 5th will be against an in-crown jewel. And then it's a bit of a month-long break between the two, which we will discuss even more on Monday Night Raw. And after that, it's the following Night Raw at Madison Square Garden. And then it's Survivor Series. And then it's straight to his last match in Saturday's main event. Now, before we get into the possible candidates, I will note there is a month-long break between Saturday, October 11th and Monday, November 10th, which means something in Crown Jewel is going to take place that's going to put John Cena out for a month-ish. That's going to lead up to Survivor Series. That's going to be like the big match, and then it's the last match, which leads me to believe one of these is possible. I'll get to him in a minute, but it's very possible that 1, 2, 3, and 4 are linked in some way. Not to say it's all the same guy. You probably can guess what I'm talking about at this point. But this is very interesting. Keep note of this. Now, before we get to the names, let's get some biggings out the way. We already exhausted the 2 big ones that we have. Randy, CM Punk. They got those out the way early. They did Cody 3 times already. And Edge, so I don't really think they'll do it for a 4th time. Is that possible? Yeah, it does hurt his chance a little bit, but you have done it 3 times. Edge is in AEW, so that rules him out. And then Batista is ruled out because, he's retired. Kurt Angle is also ruled out. He's been retired for a couple years now. Undertaker is not coming out of retirement. So obviously going to keep this the main roster guys who have appeared within the last year or so to make it fair. Okay, I'm not going to just pull a random name from 10 years ago and say, oh, Zack Ryder. Like, no, he hasn't appeared in the last year or so, at least on TV. So let's get to the least likely option, starting with The Rock. Now, this would be the best storyline of all of them. Like, of all the possible names, the storyline, the best one would definitely go to The Rock. However, 1, he did lose a lot of weight, lose a lot of muscle mass. I don't know if he wants to come to WWE looking like that. 2, he is, getting back into his acting bag and really acting. And I don't really think he needs WWE anymore. And he has a tendency to just kind of just leave willy-nilly. He could just appear in a storyline, then leave. So The Rock, while it's the best option, it's the least likely. Number 2, Sheamus. Probably save this for like Raw. It doesn't scream final ever match. Same thing with Rey Mysterio. Yeah, I would love to see it in like a random Raw, MSG, Boston. It doesn't really matter. That would be a great, one-time match, last time, interaction. At least like an interaction backstage would be cool. But don't see that as final opponent material. Randy and CM Punk give me the vibes of a last opponent, right? That was one of my initial predictions of who my last opponent is going to be, Randy or CM Punk. Even Cody, those are the big 3. But they did the Randy thing. They titled it for the last time ever, and I don't think they'll run it back again after they did it for the last time ever. That would be, I wouldn't put it past WWE for doing something like that. I just don't see that being very likely. And I eliminate Punk from that situation as well, simply because, he's kind of in the CM Punk, he's kind of in the Seth Rollins vortex right now. AJ Lee just returned, so they're going to be interlinked for at least until Crown Jewel Australia, and then maybe we can see what happens after that. Survivor Series is looking like it's going to be Seth Rollins' crew versus Roman, Punk, Jay, LA Knight, and all of them. That's probably the match at Survivor Series War Games. And then maybe he can just do, open challenge, Punk comes out, yada, yada, yada. Is that possible? Yes, is that likely? No, it's not very likely. Next is The Miz. Again, I wouldn't have a problem with it if it was one of these Raws. I would not be mad at it. But in terms of last ever opponent, I don't see The Miz. I don't. And Bronson Reed is interesting simply because he can definitely use like a big push. However, I don't think WWE views Bronson Reed as like the same level as they view Braun Breaker, which we'll get to later. But yes, he can use the win. I don't see them making him the last ever match. Right? It can lead to his last ever match, but in terms of him being the last ever opponent, I don't think WWE views him that light. This is a very, very coveted thing. Right before, it was like the Roman who was going to end Roman's reign. That's like a very big accomplishment. Like it feels like winning a championship. You know, like you can't just give it to just anybody. Because at least with a championship, you can always like, you know, have them lose it very quickly. Like, no, this is the greatest WWE wrestler of all time. Last match. You cannot just give this to just anybody. You have to have a plan going forward with them. And if you don't, you just wasted a Hall of Famer, the GOAT's last match. And so that's why those guys are least likely. Obviously, there's a couple other names out there that are also very unlikely. It's just those are the ones that stood out to me. Now let's move on to the next level. Possible, but we're gonna start off with Roman. Roman Reigns is very interesting because that is like one of the top 3 biggest matches left that he hasn't done yet. Right, he does have history with them. Right, several matches. The little back and forth promo leading into what was it? No Mercy. There we go. No Mercy 2017, 2018. One of those 2 years. We had the little great promo. We called them out. You have history. You have the OTC head of the table Roman. So you have history. So it's not a matter of making it work. It's just like I said earlier with CM Punk. Survivor Series is looking like that's where he's going to be returning. He's probably going to be interlinked with the Seth Rollins situation. And I don't really see him being John Cena's last match, especially when it's only, 2 weeks after Survivor Series. I don't see that being a quick pivot like that, and he's going right back into the Seth Rollins vortex. I don't see that being very, very possible. So, in the same breath, the same reason why I don't think Seth is technically possible. It's more possible than Roman, simply because he is the world champ, and I don't see him losing it from now until then. I don't see that being very likely. So it could be a situation where John wants to retire with the title and he wins it and, you know, retires off into the sunset, new champion, Royal Rumble, yada yada yada. He could do that. That is possible. But like I said, he is like the main character of Raw right now, right? His and his crew are like the main guys, but I don't really think Seth Rollins needs this as much as other guys I'll get to later. He doesn't really need it. He doesn't need to be in the match. He's probably going to win his last match. I don't foresee John Cena losing. So no matter who it's up against, he's probably going to win. Go off right off to the sunset with a win. That is possible. It's just, Let's talk about his next opponent. He's fighting at WrestlePalooza, Brock Lesnar. Now, remember earlier when I said it was a month-long break in between Crown Jewel and this Raw in Boston? You know, he's fighting at WrestlePalooza. Can do a couple shenanigans, like a little cheat, dirty win or whatever. Maybe Brock Lesnar squashes him. Crown Jewel, he fights someone else. Like, man, I gotta get my mind off this. I gotta get back to my ways. I can't beat him. That will lead up into Survivor Series, where he'll fight Brock Lesnar for the second time, and then to make it more closer. And then Saturday Night's main event, last match between the three, finish the trilogy. You know, John Cena wins, gets his win back, rides off in the sunset with a victory. Possible, but it's actually very possible. I won't say it's very possible. I think out of these 5 names I put, is definitely the most possible. But would people be too excited for that? A best of 3 with Brock Lesnar in 3 out of the 7 appearances he has left? I don't think so. But let's move on to the next side. Speaking of best of 3, talk about the guy you already had a best of 3 with, Cody Rhodes. He is very possible. That's like a passing of the torch moment. It could be like a, here, this is your company. You're the face of the company now. You're the quarterback. You're the guy. That can be the moment. Saturday night's main event. Cody wins. They shake hands. Move on. Cody is the guy. Cena is retired. That could be the way. Again, out of these 5, this is the least likely. Seen it 3 times. We did technically get the passing of the torch moment at SummerSlam. I think that was what the face turn was kind of leading to, was Cody becoming the guy now. So do they want to do that again, run it back, have him fight Cody 4 times in 1 year? Is kind of crazy. Do I see that happening? No, but it is definitely possible, right? Cody is the big baby face one last time. Can't put it past WWE. And last but not least in that possible but in category is one of the big NXT guys, whether it's Obafemi, Trick Williams, Javon Evans, one of those 3. I didn't put Javon, I forgot him, but one of those 3 could possibly be his final opponent. Now, out of these 5, probably the second least likely, simply because I don't think WWE wants to run the risk of pushing them too quickly. Like, if they were going to be his last match, they would have to be calling him up like now, right? Build some momentum, build some steam. I don't think they're going to do it like an open challenge and one of these NXT guys answer the challenge and they lose, win or lose, it doesn't really matter. Them being the last match is kind of crazy, especially considering that I don't know how many people watch NXT, so I don't know how popular they are within the NXT main roster audience. I don't know. So it could be like a Roman Reigns 2.0 situation where he gets pushed too quickly, and at least of them being booed and no one likes them and like, oh my god, you're shoving us down their throat again. They could run the risk of them doing that. So Oba, Trick, or Devon is possible because they are the next big thing, right? Any one of those 3 can be the next big guy for WWE, right? Trick Williams is TNA champ, 2-time NXT. Like, he has done everything in NXT. It's a matter of time before he gets called up. Why not solidify the call up by making him the last opponent? Oba has been dominant since he got to NXT, longest reigning North American champion. NXT championship is going crazy. Big scary presence. Why not? Solidify him as like a whoa, he's that guy. And Javon is like the big, like a super athletic guy and that everyone likes. That could be the moment. But like I said with Cody, do I really foresee that happening? I wouldn't put it past them. It's just not as possible. And now for the final category, very possible. These are the 4 that I think has a real chance of being his last opponent. Starting with the least likely of the 4, Dominic Mysterio. One thing that John Cena has not done in his WWE career is win the IC title. Now, it could be a situation where he drops the title before then, and then he's just like a regular one-on-one, hey, I'm going to retire you, yada, yada, yada. That could be the thing. It could be where John Cena's like, you know what, there's one title I haven't won yet, IC title. Before I go out, I want to win it. That could be the story. But you got to remember, there's no Raw in between here. So whatever happens at Survivor Series is most likely going to spill over to Saturday night's main event. That's most likely what's going to happen, right? This is all going to be this is my prediction. These 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 events are going to be linked in some way. Doesn't have to be the same opponent, all the same adversary, all 5 appearances, but I do think these will be linked in some way, shape, or form, right? So do I think Dominic will have a role in all these 5 events? It's certainly possible. San Diego is Rey Mysterio's hometown, so they can do something with that. I just want to say John Cena win the IC title, that's it. And why not give Dominic some heel heat one last time before John Cena goes? That's the biggest thing you can do left. is him retiring John Cena. That would be a great moment for him. So, and next up we have Drew McIntyre, right? He is the big heel on SmackDown. He's done on SmackDown, so that does kind of lower his chance, but is WWE. Their brand split really does not matter unless they want it to matter. So Drew does have the heelness, right? He is a heel. He's like the second biggest heel in WWE. I guess Seth is number one, and I guess his crew, I'll put Seth and his crew together as one, so that'd be number one. Number two definitely has to be Drew. You know, Drew McIntyre can get him right back on the front foot. Again, these things are linked. They can do a little. He did have the little history with Logan Paul, right? That kind of played a role into that. Drew does need a win. Drew does need something to do, and he is reportedly fighting Cody Rhodes from now between WrestlePalooza, maybe even Crown Jewel. He's fighting Cody Rhodes, so they can definitely do something with that, with him winning the championship, and then somehow, some way, Saturday Night's main event, John versus Drew, World Championship. That's possible. That is I'm gonna say very likely. That is possible to happen. I would not be mad at that. Drew is overall just a great opponent. He needs something to do. He needs one big moment. You know what I mean? Like, Drew needs something. You know, I don't know how to describe it per se. I want Drew to be part of something important. 2025, they kind of dropped the ball. 2024 was the best year of his career. 2025, to no fault of his own, it's kind of felt, you know what I mean? He fought Damian Priest, Royal Rumble, Elimination Chamber, WrestleMania, Backlash, and then I got SmackDown afterwards. It was like, you know, move on. That was like half the year versus Damian Priest, which was exciting at first, kind of died off, and then got excited again, and then it kind of just died off again. And it's like, you know, do we need to see that? So why not get Drew back on a roll? Not only by, not necessarily beat, he doesn't have to beat Cody Rhodes, but at least be in the mix versus John Cena at that point. I also do think that his promos and stuff against John would be really, really, really good. I think those two will have a great back and forth promo. It would be beautiful. So Drew McIntyre is definitely a candidate. Second place goes to Braun Breaker. Braun Breaker is positioning himself to be the next big guy, right? He's like, Paul Heyman says it every Raw, future WrestleMania main eventer. They say it every single Raw. So it's very clear that Triple H, and Paul Heyman, and Nick Khan, and WWE have very, very, very high hopes for Braun Breaker, and respectively so, right? He has definitely shown all the capabilities of being the big main event guy of WrestleMania. So why not solidify it by beating Mr. WWE? Not only would it get him the heat that he needs to, I guess, turn on Seth. That's going to happen eventually, let's be real. That can lead up to the Royal Rumble. He wins the Royal Rumble, do the whole thing with Seth, or just have him just win it, raise his stock even higher, solidify him as like he is officially a main eventer. He is here, right? They can definitely do that with Braun. He doesn't necessarily have to win. Just him being in the presence of John Cena, putting up a valiant effort, you know, having John Cena have to fight one last hard-fought battle. Because Braun Breaker has been going crazy over the last like 2 months or so. He has been going absolutely crazy. He has obliterated Roman Reigns, Jey Uso, LA Knight, CM Punk. He has, I know, like the 4 big, like, popular guys. So why not just do that again with John Cena, right? Again, these 5 events could possibly be linked. It could be a thing. It could be possible. So Braun Breaker can definitely use the heat, can use the stock elevation. Overall, be a good match as well. But my number one has to go to Gunther. Why Gunther? One, I think that is like the big match that hasn't been seen before or teased before. Left, like we've always seen Brock. We haven't seen Braun, but you know what I mean. So Gunther, he's already retired. Goldberg. You haven't seen him since. Well, I'm lying. We seen him at SummerSlam. Coming back from SummerSlam, who knows how long he's gonna be out. He should be back like pretty soon, sooner rather than later. So they can definitely build up to that. So Gunther is definitely the big option. WWE is infatuated with Gunther right now. He wins all the time. He's involved in some of the biggest stories in WWE at all times. He never goes too long without winning a championship. And with the Royal Rumble being not too long after, about a month after that, that can be setting him up for a Royal Rumble win. That is very possible. Triple H and Gunther are like, they're here with it. They're always on the same page. Gunther always gets the love, right? And what is the most biggest thing he can possibly do left that's not involving a championship? Beating John Cena. So for my prediction of his last match, I'm predicting Gunther to be his last match. However, there is one other possibility that I did hear, I think Dolph Ziggler mention, of like a gauntlet match, right? And like I said, there's no Raw in between Survivor Series and Saturday Night's Main Event, where his last match is 2 weeks after. No Raw, no SmackDown. It's just from PLE to Saturday Night's Main Event. Which leads me to believe, I don't know. I do not know what is going to happen here. Something is going to happen at Survivor Series that will lead to his last match. It could be completely unrelated, and I'm just speculating for no reason, or I could be right and something happens here that leads to here. And my, I guess, alternate prediction is some sort of gauntlet match. Remember Ric Flair right before he retired versus Shawn Michaels? Whereas like if you lose again, you retire, and he had fought like so many matches, just barely won. They can kind of do that again, but instead of like a series of matches, it's a gauntlet match where, hey, if you want to be the one to retire John Cena, you do it now during this match. You have one chance. Come get some. If you want some, come get some. Open challenge, gauntlet match. He's going to keep fighting over and over and over and over and over again, and he just loses to whoever his last opponent is going to be. That's probably going to be one of the names I just mentioned, right? It's very possible. Could be The Rock, could be like a last time ever kind of thing, whereas, hey, Rock, you ruined me, I got to get my get back. That's possible, right? You have the 5 possible but ends, and you have the 4 very possibles, right? You put them all, right? You can do a couple of them. You can throw a Dominic in there. You can throw a Ray in there. You can get a Gunther in there. You can get like a Rock in there, a Randy. So you can get multiple more of his last matches without having it be like a one-on-one singles match. Like a one-on-one. That's it. With the gauntlet match, you can definitely do multiple. You can throw a couple names that's not on this list, like Carmelo Hayes, I guess one of the tag team members. You can split them up or whatever. Montez Ford, Angelo Dawkins, Penta, you can throw him in there. Dragon Lee, you can throw him in there. I don't know, right? El Grande, you can throw him in there. R-Truth, you can throw him in there. Aleister Black, Damian Priest, you can throw them in the gauntlet match that's not necessarily on here. So not only do you get multiple names, you don't have to be very long. Quick little 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I don't know how long it's gonna be. It is a Saturday Night's Main Event, so it's only 2 hours. So I guess you can dedicate the last hour of the show strictly for that match. That is possible, and have him fight. He loses eventually to whoever you want it to be, and then he goes and does a little speech. They did cut off Goldberg last time. Let's see how they do it. It will be on cable television. I don't know if that's going to be on Peacock, simply because their deal ended. So I don't know the specifics of that quite yet. We'll see when we get closer. So that might be a little bit of a problem, but that's more of to do with the PLE special thing, whatever they called it, than an actual match. So yeah. So my individual who I think would fight John Cena in the last match is Gunther or some sort of gauntlet match. those are my predictions. Let me know yours in the comments, and while you're down there, don't forget to like and subscribe, hit that noti bell for more wrestling videos. If you want more videos like this, let me know. I'm interested in doing more non-Raw and SmackDown reviews and more just general discussion videos. That's something I am interested in doing more. If you want to see more of this, let me know. But hey, I enjoyed my time. Hope you enjoyed yours. Have a good one.